The cabinet meeting is over. Remember, it started at 6:30 and it has been 2 hours. And the message that is coming in from the government is that there will be no press conference, no press release and no update. So in a very, very brief way, the suspense is only continuing. No briefing, no release is a message that has come from the government. So what really happened in the cabinet meeting? What has been approved by the union cabinet? Will that be taken up tomorrow itself? Whether it is about the 8 bills which are listed by the government already, all that is in the realm of speculation now. No briefing, no release is the message that is coming in from the government. I have 2 senior journalists who have tracked Parliament for years. Javed Ansari and Sanjay Singh are joining me live here. We also have Smita Gupta on Zoom joining me as well. No release, no... So speculation is going to continue now, Javed sir.
Yes, the only thing predictable about this government is its unpredictability. Expect the unexpected. I do hope that there will be something special about this special session. The Prime Minister believes in keeping everybody guessing, and it's not very advisable to try and second guess this government, because every time we journalists have tried to do that, we've ended up with egg on our face. So I, for one, will hold my horses and wait for the government.
That's quite an honest acceptance, you know. That's
yeah, because I'm not connected.
No,
I'm not wired into this government.
As someone who has covered the government, even I'm not supposed to be because we have got all the speculation wrong in the past.
Yeah, this time it's slightly different. This relates to Parliament session. Yeah. But of course, that suspense and that surprise has become kind of a USP for this government. We saw that in nomination of President, Vice President, in terms of appointments, in terms of few other things. An important constitutional amendment like Article 370. This has happened. But this time around, the speculation, I don't know, has gone completely wild. Even as the government has listed out a certain agenda for this session. Even today we had a full day discussion in both houses of Parliament. But then the speculation about the cabinet meeting which has happened just now. The norm is when Parliament is in session, if a cabinet meeting is held, generally there is no briefing about that, because it is then prerogative of the MPs in both houses of Parliament to know about the cabinet decisions, and government is supposed to announce that.
But this is not for the first time that the government is not briefing after a cabinet decision.
Yeah.
We'll know about it perhaps tomorrow.
This is generally a convention that when Parliament is in session, there is no cabinet briefing, because the government has to inform Parliament first about that. There have been exceptions, I agree.
It certainly adds to the intrigue, given that it comes in the background, in the backdrop of so much speculation. Then it's not every day that there is a special session, no? So that's also unprecedented.
Okay. Smita,
so it all adds to the uncertainty.
Smita, there was a lot of, there was guesses that were happening here that perhaps, we'll know about some indication that could come from the government after 2 hours of, cabinet meeting. That did not happen. So another 12 hours or perhaps longer till we know as to what is these historic decisions that the Prime Minister has been hinting at.
Absolutely. I mean, as Javed said before me, in this government specializes in shock and awe. So, there will be a surprise perhaps tomorrow, but the point that I would really like to make is that when you have a special session of Parliament, it would have been proper for the government to have told the opposition parties, the rest of Parliament, what the special session was in aid of. Was it to celebrate the 75th anniversary of this country? Was it, as some people are speculating, to, pass the women's bill? I mean, your guess is as good as mine. Nobody really knows. But I just think that this is in line with what has been happening.
I think that has been rightly put, Smita. Your guess is as good as mine, because really we do not know what is going to happen. There's a lot of speculation, whether it will be women's reservation bill, perhaps OBC reservation in Lok Sabha and in assemblies on similar lines that we have seen for the SCs, STs. Well, the government says, we have seen there is that pattern which has emerged in which there is that visible OBC push. The cabinet reshuffle, when it happened, we saw that imprint of OBC MPs being given important portfolios. Then there is that, again, messaging which has been there, very critical, because the BJP understands the push that is coming in, particularly from the India bloc. Today was also the day when the Central Hall and all its stories will come to an end. And this is what the Prime Minister had to say, and I'm going to go back to the journalists who have been inside Central Hall, who have carried so many stories from Central Halls and perhaps have broken them in the past as well.
मैं उन पत्रकार मित्रों को भी याद करना चाहता हूं जिन्होंने जीवन में, कुछ लोग तो ऐसे हैं जिन्होंने पूरा जीवन अपने कार्यकाल में संसद के काम को ही उन्होंने रिपोर्ट किया है। उनका सामर्थ्य था वो अंदर की भी पहुंचाते थे और अंदर के अंदर की भी पहुंचाते थे। और एक प्रकार से जैसी ताकत यहां की दीवारों की रही है, वैसा ही दर्पण उनकी कलम में रहा है, और उस कलम ने देश के अंदर संसद के प्रति, संसद सदस्यों के प्रति एक अहोभाव का भाव जगाया है। मेरे लिए जैसा ये सदन छोड़ना भावुक पल है, मैं पक्का मानता हूं इन पत्रकार बंधुओं के लिए भी ये सदन छोड़ना उतना ही भावुक पल होगा।
Smita, your thoughts on what Prime Minister has said, and any memories you want to share about the conversations and big stories and big scoops that you managed in the Central Hall?
Well, for one thing, one of the rules of Central Hall was that you would never,
Smita, if you can hear me. Yes.
I said one of the rules of being a Central Hall pass holder was that you would never reveal your sources over there. But yes, I think the years that we managed to spend in Central Hall was a great learning process, because when you sat over there, at one go you were able to get a total 360-degree view of what was happening on a particular issue. You would get to know how policies were being framed, how people were opposing policies, meaning from another political party. As soon as a particular debate was over, the MPs would stream into the House, and you would get their first thoughts, after a particular debate, whether it had turned out well for somebody or whether somebody had made a spectacular speech, or, So I think it was, for journalists, it's the fact that there will be no Central
Hall and there are multiple camps that were visible.
Yes.
For Javed Saab, for us who started covering Parliament in 2008, we were perhaps waiting for that day when we will be given Central Hall passes, because it was about greater access to leaders, getting to know them better, getting to know their stories a lot. And Mr. Jaitley used to spend hours inside Central Hall to engage with all of you.
Yes,
so was Ahmed Patel.
The joke with Mr. Jaitley was that apart from all the ministries that he held, he was also informally the horticulture minister of this government, where he would, and we used to joke with him that had he been a cricketer, he would have been a better spinner than Bishan Singh Bedi, because he would always spin a yarn that was give everything a positive spin as far as this government was concerned. But the thing about Central Hall was that everything was informal. You couldn't quote what was happening there or whatever leader said, but you got the gist. You got the drift of what was happening. You got the inside story without quoting people, and betraying confidences was never on. I've seen leaders who would be at loggerheads on the floor of the House, and the moment they came to Central Hall, they'd be breaking bread together. So that was the very idea. It's sad. I'm particularly sad that Central Hall, access to Central Hall has been closed, and I hope even at this late stage, those in power will rethink.
Okay. I'm coming to you, Sanjay, in just a bit, because there is a quick update that is coming in from the government sources who are telling us that former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, JMM patron and veteran leader Shibu Soren, BJP MP Menaka Gandhi have all been invited to address the special function in Central Hall of Parliament tomorrow. So special invitations being extended to former MPs. Shibu Soren, of course, has been a former Chief Minister of Jharkhand as well. Himanshu, please go ahead, give us the details. Who else has been invited?
Well, these are three leaders who have the most experience. They're the senior-most MPs at the moment. Manmohan Singh is the senior-most MP in Rajya Sabha. Maneka Gandhi has served the maximum number of terms as Lok Sabha MP. And for Shibu Soren, he has spent most number of time, if you just add up his tenure in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. And that is why government has specially chosen these three very prominent politicians who have had a very long, cherished tenure in Parliament in both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. And a senior cabinet minister has told me that these three leaders have been, their request has been made that they should speak for at least 5 minutes, recounting their experience, their contribution, and the role of Parliament in nation building. And so clearly now senior ministers have gone inside. They are overseeing the preparations now in Central Hall. And clearly a very historic day, and government wants to ensure that all those important prominent politicians who have played the most important role in building up Parliament as a national institution are given due respect. And we'll have to wait and see how these three leaders and what issues actually they raise when they get up to speak during the special function, which starts exactly at 11 a.m. In the Central Hall. And this is the last function in the old Parliament building as of today.
Yes, and it's quite interesting, the invitation that has been extended, Sanjay, isn't it?
The choice of three names, of course, as you said, are very interesting. Manmohan Singh, Prime Minister for 10 years. But we saw last frame of Manmohan Singh when that Delhi ordinance was to be converted, Delhi Services Ordinance was to be converted in bill. And people actually seeing Manmohan Singh in not his best of health and coming to Rajya Sabha on wheelchair, that was not very comfortable for people to see somebody who has been Prime Minister for 10 years. Today he referred about Manmohan Singh from Pandit Nehru to Manmohan Singh to all the Prime Ministers, and last one was of course Manmohan Singh. You also know that BJP ran its whole campaign on Ma Bete Ki Sarkar. Prime Minister Narendra Modi ran this whole campaign. But since this is a completely bipartisan event, he invited Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. That of course is a very good message in terms of messaging from the Central Hall when they will be moving to new Parliament House. Shibu Soren, Maria. Shibu Soren was somebody who had been on both sides with BJP and with Congress. He was a minister, if I'm not wrong. Then police came and arrested him. This thing was pasted. Lookout notice was pasted on his house.
Gandhi, again, a very interesting choice because of having served in Pilibhit for
precisely. But then again, Maneka Gandhi was minister in last government. BJP not in very good relations, and his son Varun Gandhi not in best of relations.
I think it's about the institution, that is the Parliament, that is being put on focus. Thank you so much, Smita Gupta, Sanjay Singh, and Javed Ansari. Before I slip into a short break, here's our journey down the memory lane. This is about the best speeches in the old Parliament.
Long years ago, we made a tryst with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge.
All the world admires a deed well done, and I think, with all modesty, we can say that we have done this action well.
सत्ता का खेल तो चलेगा, सरकारें आएंगी, जाएंगी, पार्टियां बनेगी, बिगड़ेंगी, मगर ये देश रहना चाहिए, इस देश का लोकतंत्र अमर रहना चाहिए। आप सारा देश चलाना चाहते हैं, बड़ी अच्छी बात है, हमारी शुभकामनाएं आपके साथ हैं। हम अपने देश की सेवा के कार्य में जुटे रहेंगे। हम संख्या बल के सामने सर झुकाते हैं और आपको विश्वास दिलाते हैं कि जो कार्य हमने अपने हाथ में लिया है, वो जब तक राष्ट्रीय उद्देश्य पूरा नहीं कर लेंगे, तब तक विश्राम से नहीं बैठेंगे, तब तक आराम से नहीं बैठेंगे। अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं अपना त्यागपत्र राष्ट्रपति महोदय को देने जा रहा हूँ।
A poet has said, हमको है उनसे वफा की उम्मीद जो जानते नहीं वफा क्या। There is a proverb and a saying that जो गरजते हैं वो बरसते हैं। And we have seen this arrogance not for the first time.
if we pursue the vision I've described today, a global partnership to meet global challenges, then I have no doubt that future generations, Indians and Americans, will live in a world that is more prosperous and more secure and more just because of the bonds that our generation has forged today. So thank you. And Jai Hind. And long live the partnership between India and the United States.
Let us seize it for India, for America, for all those with whom we share this small planet, and for all the children that together we can give such bright tomorrows. Thank you very much.
As we continue this special broadcast, we have a very special guest joining me now. Former Speaker of Lok Sabha, Meera Kumar, is joining me live. Thank you so much for speaking to NDTV, ma'am. Bittersweet memories is something that we are seeing coming from multiple quarters. It's the movement from the old to the new, the journey of the Parliament of India. How do you look at it? Of course, the government has been saying that the old building was dilapidated, they needed more space, and the new Parliament is also tech-friendly, it is eco-friendly, and perhaps best suited for New India.
The old building is not dilapidated. The old building is historic, and there was shortage of space. Shortage of space because we have so many committees, and each committee requires an office space. Then there's number of people who are working in the secretariat, in Lok Sabha secretariat, in Rajya Sabha secretariat. That has increased. And also in future, near future, we are going to have more members of parliament. So shortage of space is the main reason. And also protecting a historic building like our parliament building, old parliament building, is very, it's a paramount importance. But let me tell you one thing. Whatever the new building is, people are talking of how beautiful it is, how grand it is. It is certainly grand. It is beautiful. It should be. It is, after all, the parliament, the nerve center of the largest democracy in the world. But it should be able, you must realize that we have the largest population in the world. And among the largest population in the world, the number of poor people is also largest in the world. So this parliament building is actually meant to serve the interest of those poor people of India. That should be its first agenda. The building is very important, but the agenda, the work that is going to be done within that building is more important.
Yes, any moment, any speech that you remember when you were the Lok Sabha speaker, or when you accompanied your father, Babu Jagjeevan Ram, to Parliament, any memory that you have which you would like to share with us?
Yes, I do. And that was a speech which was made at a historic moment. My father, Babu Jagjeevan Ramji, was the defense minister. And that is the time we won the 71 war. And he came to the parliament, and it was a short speech, but he informed the parliament that this is what happened. After that, Srimati Indira Gandhi was the prime minister. She made a long speech. But that speech, I think, was very important because of all the wars that India had fought, we won this war. We have very, very brave soldiers, excellent, and we have a very strong, powerful army. Despite that, because of certain shortages in our strategy, we were not able to win. This is the first time we won a war. And war is not something which is good. You should not be praising a war, because it causes so much of damage, life and property. But this war is always remembered because it set a standard. It showed it to the world that, yes, India can do something with so much of excellence, you see. And after that war, 71 war, now it has been 52 years. And Pakistan has criticized India over so many issues, but it has never said that Indian soldiers had misbehaved with the civilians of Pakistan, with the men, women, and children of Pakistan. And it followed the Geneva Convention to the T. So this was a moment of great glory. Glory in proving ourselves, our excellence, our ability to do the things so well.
There's a lot of talks and buzz around the possibility of a women's reservation bill in this special session. Do you think the time has come for that bill? There has been a lot of back and forth, a piece of legislation which should have been passed several years ago.
The time was always there, but it so happened that there were difficulties, there were impediments. At one point, it was passed in Rajya Sabha, but it couldn't be done in Lok Sabha. Now, I think, is the time when we enter the new Lok Sabha Parliament building. I think this should be done. This should be done. I was telling you about the agenda that the new Parliament building should have. So I said about elimination of poverty, and the other point on the agenda is respect for women. And the third point on the agenda is elimination of caste system. And the fourth point on the agenda is harmonious relationship, respect for all the religions of our land.
Meera Kumar, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.